There's something no one tells you about money, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Most people think they have a money problem, not enough income, not enough opportunities, not enough luck. But if that were true, then everyone who learned how money works would become wealthy. They don't. Because money isn't just a system, it's a mirror, and what it reflects is not your knowledge, it's your conditioning. The way you think about money, the way you feel when you see it, the way your body reacts when you get close to it, that's the real game. And most people are playing it unconsciously. From the outside, it looks like they're trying. They watch videos, they read books, they plan, but inside, something else is happening. A quiet resistance, a subtle tension, a hesitation that doesn't make sense. And they call it, I'm not ready. I need more time. I'll start later. But that's not the truth. The truth is, their brain doesn't feel safe. Because money, to their system, means pressure, responsibility, expectation, exposure. And the brain is designed to avoid pressure, not to seek growth, not to build wealth, but to keep you within what feels familiar. So even when you say, I want more money, another part of you whispers, no, you don't. And that conflict is what keeps people stuck. You move forward, and then you pull back. You gain, and then you lose. You try, and then you stop. And from the outside, it looks like inconsistency. But from the inside, it's regulation. Your brain is trying to bring you back to your baseline. And your baseline was built years ago, not by you, but around you. You didn't choose your first beliefs about money. You absorbed them from conversations, from reactions, from what you saw and what you didn't. Maybe money was always tight. Maybe it caused stress. Maybe it created tension in your home, and your brain made a simple association: money, problem. So now, even when you consciously want more, your system resists it, not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. And unfamiliar feels dangerous. That's the part most people never understand. They think success is about doing more, working harder, learning faster, trying again. But effort doesn't override conditioning. You can push yourself forward, but your system will pull you back, again and again, until you feel exactly like you used to. That's why people say, I don't know what happened. But something did happen. Their system corrected itself, back to what feels normal. And normal is not what you want. It's what you're used to. There's a difference, a massive difference. Because what you're used to is what your brain will fight to protect, even if it's limiting, even if it's painful. That's why some people stay in financial cycles for years, not because they don't have chances, but because they can't hold change. They can reach a higher level, but they can't stay there, because staying there requires a different identity. And identity is not something you choose once. It's something you reinforce daily, through repetition, through behavior, through emotional experience. So if your experience of money has always been stress, then stress becomes your anchor, and your brain will try to return to it, even when life improves. That's why people sabotage themselves. Not loudly, silently. They miss opportunities, they delay decisions, they create small leaks. And over time, they end up exactly where they started, and they call it bad luck. But it's not. It's alignment. Alignment with their internal system. Because your life will always align with what feels true to you. Not what you say, not what you want, what you feel. And if deep down, wealth feels foreign, you will reject it in ways you don't even notice. That's the trap. And it's invisible. Because it feels like you. Your thoughts, your preferences, your decisions. But it's not you. It's programming. And once you see that, you stop fighting yourself. You stop forcing change. And you start observing. Observing what triggers you. What makes you uncomfortable? What feels too much when things improve? Because that discomfort is the edge of your current identity. And beyond that edge is your next level. Most people never cross it because they interpret discomfort as a sign to stop. But it's not. It's a sign that something new is happening, something unfamiliar. And if you stay with it, instead of escaping it, your system begins to adapt. Slowly, it starts to accept what once felt impossible, and over time, that becomes your new normal. That's how real change happens. Not through force, through exposure, through repetition, through staying present, when your instinct is to run. Because the goal is not to make money feel exciting. The goal is to make it feel normal, neutral, stable, something your system can hold without tension. And once that happens, everything changes. You stop overreacting. You stop overthinking. You stop sabotaging. Because there's nothing to resist anymore. And money stops being a problem. It becomes a result, a reflection of who you've become, not what you've learned. And that's the shift, the real one, not external, internal. And once you make that shift, you don't chase money anymore. Money starts aligning with you. Because for the first time, you're not trying to escape your old patterns. You've outgrown them, and that changes everything. If this made you think, if something inside you feels different right now, don't ignore it. That's awareness. And awareness is where control actually begins. Because this is where you stop repeating the same financial identity and start building a new one. And here's where it becomes real. Awareness alone is not enough. Because seeing the pattern doesn't break the pattern. You can understand everything and still repeat it. That's the part people don't expect. They think, if I see it, I'll change. But your brain doesn't change through understanding. It changes through experience, through repetition, through evidence, through showing your system that something new is safe. And that takes time, because your current identity was not built in a day. It was built through years of repeated emotional experiences. So if you try to change it overnight, your system will reject it. Not because it's impossible, but because it's too fast, too unfamiliar. So instead of forcing transformation, you build tolerance. So instead of forcing transformation, you build tolerance. Tolerance for a new level, a new reality, a new way of operating. At first, it feels unnatural. Handling more money feels strange. Making bigger decisions feels heavy. Thinking long-term feels uncomfortable, and your instinct will be to go back. Back to what's easy. Back to what you know. Back to what requires less from you. But this is the moment that matters. Not when things are easy, but when they're different. Because difference is the doorway. And most people walk away from it. They say, this doesn't feel right. This isn't me. This is too much. And they return to the same identity. The same limits, the same results. But if you stay, if you resist the urge to escape that discomfort, something shifts. Your system starts to expand. It starts to realize this is not a threat. And slowly, what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt impossible becomes expected. And that's how capacity is built. Not by pushing harder, but by staying longer. Staying present in a reality your old self couldn't handle. Because wealth is not just about earning, it's about holding. Holding pressure, holding responsibility, holding uncertainty without collapsing. And if you can't hold it, you can't keep it. That's why people rise and then fall. Not because they lost the opportunity, but because they couldn't sustain the state. They couldn't stay at that level without their system reacting. So it corrected itself, back to what felt normal. But once you understand this, you stop trying to win money and you start training your system to handle it, to stay calm around it, to make decisions without panic, to move without hesitation. And over time, that becomes your new baseline. Not through force, not through motivation, but through familiarity. Because once something becomes familiar, your brain stops resisting it. And once resistance disappears, progress becomes natural. Effort becomes cleaner, decisions become clearer, movement becomes consistent. And suddenly, the thing that once felt difficult feels obvious. That's when everything changes. Not because you became smarter, but because you became different. And difference is what creates results. So if you're still asking, how do I make more money? You're asking the wrong question. Ask instead, how do I become someone who can live at a higher level without tension? Because that version of you already exists. Not somewhere far away, but just beyond what currently feels comfortable. And the only thing between you and that version is your willingness to stay in the unfamiliar long enough for it to become home. Comment the pattern you noticed and subscribe, because this is where it changes.